This is episode 18, season 2 of the SportsTalk podcast. I'm your co-host, Evan Brown. That's your host, James Price of SportsTalk. And the Toronto Raptors tonight can close off, can end the 76ers season, 7 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Eastern, excuse me. It's an exciting time. And hopefully we can do it in 6 games. I don't want this to go to game 7, but we're playing in Philly. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere, and you know that the 76ers are going to throw out whatever they can. They're a desperate team. They are the desperate team in this series right now. Their backs are against the wall, and this is going to be a test for a Raptors team who look dominant in this series. Dominant.
Yeah.
Other than game
2. Or game 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Other than game 3, the Raptors, game 2, they didn't shoot the ball well, but they barely lost that game. Game 1, they crushed Philly. Yeah. Game 4, big shot from Kawhi Leonard late in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And then, obviously, game 5 that happened a couple nights ago, just absolute domination from the Toronto Raptors. It was incredible to watch.
And I counted Kawhi Leonard dunking over Joel Embiid twice. 3 times?
Well, it was twice in that game.
Was it twice?
But it was funny. The second one was all over Embiid. And the first one was kind of like in between two guys. They kind of tried to swat it away, and they both jumped at the same time. He went right through the middle of them, caught a body, and it might have been Embiid that he caught there. But Kawhi Leonard, look, he didn't have a Kawhi Leonard-esque type of game in the playoffs that we've seen so far. I think he shot 7 of 16, which obviously isn't. For us Raptor fans watching Kawhi in a 21-13 effort on that, on 7 of 16 shooting. Right. That's not Kawhi Leonard in this series.
No.
But the reason this team won is not only their defense, because we've talked about it all year long. When this Raptor team gets stops, they're one of the best teams at running out and making teams scramble for their defense. And when you're making shots, it's really hard to beat the Raptors. And you saw that in Game 5.
Yeah, we did. So let's go back to Game 3 here, because we haven't recapped since Game 2. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's not dwell on it because it's in the past. The 76ers beat the Raptors 116-95. This was last Thursday. No one's showing up. Kyle Lowry didn't show up. The only 2 players that really showing up was obviously Pascal and Kawhi Leonard. You didn't
really get a whole lot of effort from anybody, and it wasn't really the offensive end that was struggling with. I mean, again, we talked about it. I just talked about it not too long ago there. But when you get stops, the Raptor team is great. They gave up 115 points. That tells you there's a lot of stagnant, defense, and they're a 5-on-5 defense. The Raptors aren't the greatest team when it comes to that. They weren't making their shots. They weren't getting stops. It was just a complete mess of a Game 3. Yeah. Now let's just move on from that, because that was a terrible game, and the series got a lot better.
Yeah. Now, I think this game is the turning point in the series.
Big time.
Game 4, the Raptors with an injured Pascal Siakam. He was doubtful for that game.
Calf contusion. Yeah, he was.
I'm surprised he even played.
Yeah, the day before we hear that he's doubtful, and we're in Philly. Then you hear the referees are Mark Davis and Tony Brothers, and then we're like, man, this could not get any worse. You got blown out in Philly. You could have possibly lose Pascal Siakam for the game. You have 2 referees that absolutely hate, at least on the court, it looks like they hate the Toronto Raptors.
Well, I wouldn't say hate. Maybe a bit biased towards the Raptors. I don't know about.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm trying to say, and everything's pointing towards the Raptors losing Game 4 in Philly and being down 3-1.
But we've seen that the star power of Leonard is just unbelievable, because, like I said, Pascal Siakam did not have a good game whatsoever. The whole team really didn't. Marc Gasol, 16, 5 rebounds.
He had a good night.
Yeah, he had a good night. But other than that, really, Kawhi Leonard, almost 40 points, 39 points, 14 rebounds. He took over that game.
Absolutely, especially with that last shot in the game.
Oh, for sure.
Big time.
So,
bucket.
Huge win. And then we go to Game 5.
Do you want to talk about game 4 a little bit more? Yeah, just the fact that if that game went a little bit differently, you know what I mean? Because you got to give credit where credit is due. And I'm talking about guys like Danny Green. Go into there real quick. Yes, if you look at his percentage from shooting, he didn't shoot the ball very well. He was 1 of 4 shooting. I don't even know if he made a 3 in that game. He was 1 of 3. But, and as you can see there, he got to the free throw line 8 times. He knocked down all 8 free throws. And 4 of them at least were going right at Greg Monroe. The guy's not a great defender.
No, he's not.
You get out and run, that guy can't move. No. So you go right at him, and Danny Green gets the calls. And that was when this game got really tight there in the early goings to the second half.
Yeah.
They were really good. Lowry was better. I think Gasol made an impact. Mm-hmm. As much as Kawhi took over the game, other guys did step up. Right, you saw. You know, we haven't seen Serge Ibaka much at all. He went 12-9. He had a pretty good ball game, right? And like we said, Gasol had 16, Lowry with 14, Danny Green with 11. You had a little bit of something else, and you talked about it in Game 3. How, you know, other than Kawhi Leonard, there was really nothing going on, and maybe a little bit of Danny Green and maybe a little bit of Pascal Siakam, but they weren't that good. And even with Pascal injured, who did not play very well, I think he shot 2 of 10.
Yeah,
and at one point
only 9 points.
And at one point he was 0 of 8. He was having a horrendous time. The Raptors still came with the victory, played good defense, and obviously playoff Kawhi. And he's not only a star in this league, he's a superstar.
Yeah.
We have not seen that here.
And we mentioned last podcast about the bench and how the bench struggled, and you were talking about throwing in Patrick McCaw for Jody Meeks.
Yep.
It doesn't look like either of them played. Oh, yeah, sorry. Patrick McCaw did play 5 minutes. Didn't really, but I said this on the last podcast. It doesn't matter if you throw Patrick McCaw, and he's not gonna be, you know,
a difference maker.
No, he really isn't.
Of course not.
No, exactly. But at that point, we were scrambling for answers because, like he said, I think the last podcast we were 1-1.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were just scrambling for answers. But listen, the bench is not the problem.
It is a problem, but it's not the problem. It is a problem.
But since the play of Leonard and Pascal, and even a bit of Lowry here and there, it overcame that. And going to Game 5,
a couple nights ago,
it just shown that, listen, the Raptors are a better team than the Philadelphia 76ers on all ends of the floor.
And you could talk about, you could say that shot from Kawhi Leonard there in Game 4 ended the series.
I think it did.
I mean, my God, it was a 1-point game, just over a minute to play. It's a contested fading 3. I mean, that's a tough shot.
Exactly.
And he knocks it down. I mean, huge shot.
Oh, yeah, huge shot. And just going by the numbers here.
This is Game 5.
Kawhi Leonard didn't have a Kawhi Leonard night. He was still good, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't a 30, 40-point performance.
No.
You have Pascal, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 for 19.
Not the greatest. But again, he got to the line. He shot 9 of 10 from the free throw line.
Exactly.
Good job there.
Danny Green, 28 points. Minutes. 7. I wish he got to 28 points.
Honestly.
17 points, 5 rebounds, 5 for 8 shooting. I mean, pretty good.
And look at his 3-point shot. I think it was like 4 or 5
was
or something. Or 5 of 7. I mean, that's incredible.
Awesome. So,
and even Lowry had 19 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists on 5 of 9 shooting.
No,
I mean, he did the job.
Yeah, no, he did. But I still think, like you said, he's been good. He's been a little streaky at times. But
what I've learned in the last 2 games, in Game 4 and in Game 5 with Kyle Lowry, he drives the offense early, and it gets him going, and it gets everybody else going.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you look,
I feel like
sorry.
Yeah, okay. I feel like if he's not going, the whole team kind of struggles a little bit for sure. That's why I'm saying, other than Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry has to be the driving force of this team.
Well, Siakam as well.
Well, no, but I'm saying that if Pascal Siakam isn't going, chances are the Raptors are probably going to win the game. Like, okay, what's more important for this Raptors team? For Pascal not to be going or for Lowry not to be going? Personally, I think
it's Lowry that if he's not going, this team loses.
Exactly. Yeah. If Pascal isn't going, this team probably still wins because Pascal isn't really a driving force throughout the offense.
They did it in Game 4. He only had 9 points, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then you go back to Game 3. Kyle Lowry didn't have a good game at all, and they lost. Pascal did, and they lost.
Right.
So I think that Lowry does need to step up at points and quit this streaky mess.
But watching him in Game 4 and Game 5, like I said, take over the start of the ball game.
But he needs to continue this. This.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he knows that, and I think if he likes feeling his shot early on, and in the last game, he made the first basket of the ball game. It was a 3 off of a screen, and he made the shot, and it got everything going for the Raptors that game. And he had 19. He 5 of 9. What was he from 3? I think it was like 2 of 5. I think he was from 3. But anyways, I mean, his defense. He's going to give you the thing I love about Kyle Lowry. Not only does he produce a great passer, and for a point guard, he's a pretty damn good rebounder. And when he gets hot like this and has 19, it's a great time. But he loves taking charges. He's one of the best in the league at taking charges. Mm-hmm. And I love when a big guy, like a guy like Tobias Harris or even a Jimmy Butler, a guy bigger than him, tries to back him down, tries to put him on a post, or like to post him up, right? Because Kyle Lowry is a dog, man. That guy, he does not give an inch. He fights, and like you see guys back guys down, but
he's
Lowry,
a heavy-set guy too.
He does not move.
No.
And usually it's a pass after that or a heavily contested shot.
Yeah, because I think other than Kawhi Leonard, this has to be the second most important player on this team. If you look at the 3 Raptors losses, I mean, in Game 1 versus the Magic, obviously we knew that he got 0 points. And then the other 2, he wasn't performing up to standards. And then what happened? The Raptors lost. So
what did he do in Game 1?
What did he do in Game 1, actually?
Because they won that game. I think they won that pretty good in Game 1.
And they lost Game 2.
Kawhi had 40-something in Game 1, so I don't know if Lowry did.
Well, that's a win. I'm talking about the losses here.
I know, but if he wasn't a driving force in Game 1 and the Raptors still won, then I want to kind of see that if you check that out.
Because I think that's a main factor in this series for sure. So
they had 9 points on 4 of 10. So I mean,
but with Kawhi Leonard putting up 45 points
and Siakam at 29. Right. So I mean, when they have, I guess to a certain extent, if Lowry's not going, that you could still win. But I mean, the fact that Kawhi had 45 and Pascal had almost 38. It's pretty
hard to lose a game like that when 2 of your best players are overperforming or over expectations in that specific game. Now, Game 6 tonight, like I mentioned, is going to be huge for the Raptors. The Philadelphia 76ers backs are against the wall. We've seen countless times a team can force Game 7 because they are just desperate. They're going to be the more desperate team. They have the home crowd. This could be the final game for the 76ers at home this season.
I want to end it in Philly.
Well, there you go.
I think you can agree with that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Personally, I think it's going to go to Game 7. And then the Raptors are going to win in Game 7. I don't want that to happen, but I think that's going to happen because, listen, the 76ers, their star players, Embiid, Simmons, Butler's been good this series.
He's been very good this series.
But those main 2 players, and even Tobias Harris to a certain extent, haven't been performing up to expectations. I don't know if it's because Joel Embiid is sick or injured.
The problem is, Joel Embiid is their star.
Yeah.
He's their MVP.
Yeah.
That's their Kawhi Leonard, right? And I get it that he's sick. But I mean, did you watch him walk into the arena there in Game 5? I mean, Charles Barkley said it. Yeah. And you know what? I agree 100% with what he was saying. He's walking in there, hands in his pocket, hood up, basically like he doesn't want to be there. Like he actually is sick. And then he's on the court. I mean, you saw late in the game yesterday or in Game 5, you see him
exhausted.
Well, not only does he look exhausted, but he's looking at the score sheet. He's looking at stats. It doesn't matter. You're getting your ass handed to you. Yeah. You don't look at stats. He is a cancer to that team right now. He had 8 turnovers alone in Game 5.
No,
Ben Simmons was awful. He's been terrible the entire series.
If you're the 76ers, you wouldn't bench him. You have to play him.
No, I'm not saying it, but I don't see this thing going 7. I really don't.
I mean, I do think that because with the 76ers team, they have a lot more fight, but it just depends on the play of the Raptors tonight. Simple as that. It just depends on the Raptors and how they really perform. I mean, we know what Joel Embiid can do, but it's just can he get past this? I don't even know what he's facing. Food poisoning. He's sitting on the can a little too long there, but very, very interesting. Very, very interesting for the Raptors there. I think it's going to go 7. I think that the 76ers are going to come out with their home crowd, and I wouldn't say dominate. It's going to be a tight game, but I think it's going to be a 76ers win tonight, and then the Raptors are going to win at home Game 7 because I still think that the 76ers have a lot more fight than this.
I think that their fight is over. I said about it in Game 4, I said that Kawhi Leonard shot. Yeah. I really believe that just not only emotionally hurt them, it physically did because they knocked down that shot. And even for the remainder of that 1 minute, in that game, look, it's still only a 4-point game. You knock down a shot, you get a stop, your chance to tie and win, right? But they break down and then they lose it, and you go ahead to Game 5 in a huge Game 5. You win that game, you have a chance to come home for Game 6 if you're Philly, and win it in Philly. And if you lose, you got to win 2 straight, and you have to win Game 6 in Philly, and you have to win Game 7 in Toronto. And the fact that Philly came out not only flat, but they looked awful. Yeah. They weren't making their shots. I think they had 19 turnovers.
I mean, and honestly, to perform that way at home is quite embarrassing.
No, what do you mean?
Game 5.
Game 5.
Yeah,
but
on the road.
Not only was it on the road or whatnot, it was a pivotal. It's a huge Game 5, and they look awful.
Yeah.
They look horrendous.
It wasn't even like it was a tight game, like you said. They got blown up by 30 points?
36.
36
a
points.
Franchise best for the Raptors, margin
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Wow. So obviously, you think that
I think it's done tonight. I mean, look, crazier things have happened, and you never know. Philly could come flying today, and Embiid could become an airplane again, and the Raptors could lose this one and go home for Game 7. Who knows? But in my head,
he just looks off.
Kind of the way this is all going, it looks like it's going to be done tonight. Yeah. The way the emotion from like we talked about, the Raptors crushed Philly, like you said, 36 points and all that. Kawhi wasn't even at his best.
It was mainly Pascal Siakam, and
supporting,
and they're putting their whole team and focusing on Kawhi Leonard. We still have Pascal.
Yeah, that's the point.
We still have Lowry.
Now, ideally, I don't blame them for firing everything at Kawhi because
he was unbelievable.
The rest of the team really hasn't been consistent all series long. So you're going to try and make them beat you.
I think he's averaging 36 points a game.
He might have
throughout the playoffs
before the last game where he only had 21.
Okay, so let's just say 30.
But he's averaging
32.
over 30, bottom line. I mean, it's...
People are talking about playoff MVP Harden, Giannis. Maybe you look at Kawhi Leonard as a dark horse.
I think that all depends on how far the Raptors go, but I think if he continues to play the way he is now, and you never know. No. Speaking of Giannis...
Let's go around the league.
And the Milwaukee Bucks just clean the clock of the Boston Celtics. I expected Milwaukee to win that series. I didn't really expect it in 5 convincingly.
No.
And the funny thing is, Boston won Game 1.
I know, that's why I thought, listen, if Boston can continue this, they can win in 7. They didn't even get close. Lost in 5. Kyrie Irving looked terrible.
So that you just brought up him.
I just brought up him.
Do you think he's gone for Boston?
But where would he go? Like, that's the thing. I mean...
Go to the Knicks. We're hearing about Durant going to the Knicks. We're hearing about all this mumbo-jumbo.
Listen, if you can't... mumbo-jumbo. If you can't perform in Boston, what makes you think that you can perform in New York?
The reason being...
What, just because of Kevin Durant?
Look, I'm sorry. No. In Boston, they don't have a Kevin Durant. You get a guy like KD around, you have another option. You're not the primary scorer. Kyrie Irving is not a primary scorer.
No, but he left the Cavaliers.
Yeah, because he wanted to be a star.
Exactly, and it's not working out.
Right.
So I still think he wants to be a star. That's why I'm saying if he goes to the Knicks, he wants the New York Knicks to be his team. And if they get KD, I don't think it's really going to mesh at all. I think it's going to be turmoil in the locker room if both of them are on the same team, because I know Kevin Durant is extremely I don't want to say arrogant, but what's the word I'm looking for here? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say arrogant. Yeah, he's an arrogant player. I don't know really about Kyrie and how he acts. I think he's okay, but both of them want to be the star player, and
but the problem is, I mean, LeBron James wanted to be the star in Cleveland, and he was. Kyrie wanted to be the star in Cleveland, and he left. Kyrie Irving left to Boston, and hell, he could be gone after year 2.
No, I know, but I just...
That whole experiment of being the guy clearly hasn't worked out for Kyrie Irving.
I just don't think that... If he goes to the Knicks, he wants the Knicks to be his team, and he would want a supporting cast around him rather than him and KD being on the same team. But I think that his time with Boston, I don't know if it's done. Because, like he said, what other team is he going to go to where he can be the star? He wants to be the star.
Yeah, well, he had the opportunity here.
I know, but maybe he wants a fresh start somewhere else where he can be the star. Like, that's the thing. Where else in the league?
There's a ton of other teams that would gladly pay Kyrie Irving an arm and a leg in free agency.
Oh, for sure, but will he want to go there? Because he wants to be in a big market. I don't blame him.
Well, the bigger the market, the more criticism you're going to get.
Maybe Chicago? That could be an option. They don't really have a star player, so he can go there.
So, anyways, let's get back to this series. Really, I wanted to bring up Kyrie because it's kind of a hot topic.
Do you think that he's gonna? Well,
I think he's gone. I think he's gone from Boston, but I don't know where he would go.
Let's make a prediction now. I'm gonna say the Chicago Bulls.
I'm gonna say the Knicks.
Okay.
All right. So let's go to the series, though. I mean, we've talked after Game 1 and 2, and in Game 1. Milwaukee got crushed by Boston, 112-90. I mean, it was a big loss, right? It was a 22-point loss in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. And Game 2, Milwaukee cleans the slate by 21. They beat Boston by 21 points. Game 3 in Boston, Boston loses by 7. And we talked about Boston being a very good defensive team. Well, you look at these two games, these two losses, 123 points given up in both games.
Now, I look at... Because who was guarding Giannis? It was Al Horford, correct? He was pretty good on Giannis Antetokounmpo. He wasn't bad. Giannis did not take over this series. I think it was the supporting cast of the Milwaukee Bucks that really... because I don't even think he scored more than 30 or 35 points in the whole series.
He scored 39 and 32.
In how many games? 5? So he kind of contained him.
So in Game 1, he had 22 and 8. Obviously, they lost that game. Game 2, in only 31 minutes, he had 29 points and 9 rebounds. That is insanely good. And in Game 3, he had 32 and 13 and 8 assists. And then Game 4, in 34 minutes, he had 39 points and 16 rebounds. And then in Game 5, he only played 31 minutes. He had 20 points, 8 boards, and 8 assists as well.
Listen,
Giannis was amazing in the series.
Even going into this series, I would have thought, I'm not saying he wasn't amazing, but I thought that he would have... I didn't think Boston could have contained him, but they did an okay job with Al Horford being on him in 2 key blocks in Game 5.
Now, we can talk about Kyrie Irving. Just hear me out, because I just looked something up here. Kyrie Irving did not shoot over 36% in Games 2 till 5.
He was a minus 25 throughout this series.
Well, in Game 5 he was.
Oh, in Game 5 he was.
He shot 57% in Game 1. Then he shot 22%, 36%, 31%, and 28%.
It's like he just gave up on this team.
Clearly.
I mean, I do think that he's gone, but what's next for the Boston Celtics? I mean, the acquisition of Gordon Hayward's gone down the drain.
He had 2 points there in Game 5.
Jason Tatum took a step back this year. Jaylen Brown looks okay. Terry Rozier took a step back this year. Who knows if he's even going to come back?
Terry Rozier took a step back is because Kyrie Irving was healthy. But even then,
he was still playing.
Even then, Terry Rozier only averaged 9 a game. He only shot 38% from the field. In this series, he only had double digits one time in Game 1.
He was getting okay minutes too, and he just didn't perform. So I think that Terry Rozier's time as a Boston Celtics up.
Kyrie Irving, yeah.
Kyle Lowry. Irving's time with Boston's up. But I think that they're going to keep Tatum, obviously, Jaylen Brown.
Tatum wasn't even that special in the series.
I know. He wasn't special at all, really, this season. So, congrats to the Milwaukee Bucks. And we could see Milwaukee versus Toronto.
That's the round 2 matchup, if the Raptors can close this series out tonight.
Round 3 matchup.
Yes, that's a round 2? Okay.
Which was expected. But like you say, we just got to get past 76ers first. We can't look too much into it.
Right.
So, going to the West here. Very interesting. Let's start with the Golden State Warriors versus the Houston Rockets. And I said, listen, the only positive of this series is, Houston's going back for Game 3 at home, and they won both games at home. Now, they did lose Game 5.
Yeah, it was a tight one, though. They only lost by 5. It was a tight one.
I still think now Kevin Durant did leave.
With the Achilles injury. I don't
think he's going to be returning for Game 6.
He won't play in Game 6 due to calf strain. So
now this is a golden opportunity.
You're at home, Houston.
Yep, this is a golden opportunity to take it to 7 and win. I think this is what the Houston Rockets needed as a break right here. This is their moment. If they lose this series with Golden State out with Kevin Durant, it is a complete waste of a season.
Well, Game 6 is tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Yes, and I think that they have to beat the Golden State Warriors because they have no Kevin Durant. They have to do it, and they can do it.
Yeah, in Game 6, I think it's a must-win. If you lose that game, in my eyes, it's a failure as a Rockets. If I be a Rockets fan,
yeah, for sure.
Because obviously with no KD and obviously DeMarcus Cousins going
down
there.
Now you do have to win 2 more games, right? But they don't have their best player,
right?
And you have a healthy lineup.
Home court advantage clearly has been the beneficial factor in this series so far. Golden State won both at home. Houston won both at home. And then obviously Game 5 in Golden State. Golden State won that one.
I'm saying Houston in 7. I think they can do it.
I want to say Houston in 7, but I think Golden State in 7. I really, because they're going to get home court. I think that's going to be the end of it. But again, you never really know.
True.
But so now let's go to the other series. Denver is up 3-2 against the Portland Trailblazers. Now, Obviously, Denver won game 1. It's been a back. Actually, exactly. It's been a back and forth series. Denver won game 1. Portland won game 2. Denver won game 3. Portland won game. So it hasn't been back and forth. Then it was a 1-0 series for Denver. Then it was 2-1 Portland. Yeah. Then it was 2-2 Denver, and then now it's 3-3 or 3-2 Denver. So going back to Portland tonight at 10:30.
I'm still sticking with Portland in 7. I know you said Denver in 7, but they got blown out, though. The Portland Trailblazers got blown out.
124-98.
Yeah. They were playing in Denver.
Yep.
Going back home to Portland.
Again, but this is almost the identical situation of the Philadelphia 76ers. They just got demolished in Toronto.
Yeah.
And now they're going home for game 6 in a must win.
Well, if you lose, you're going to eliminate.
In Denver, Denver crushed them at home to take the 3-2 lead. Now you're going back to Portland as Portland needs to get these victories.
And nobody can contain Jokic.
No.
It's calmed down to it. I mean, Cantor looked okay. NS Cantor looked okay against Jokic, but
he's had 2 triple-doubles in this series.
They got to double team him. They got to do something, man. If they're already not doing that.
And Jokic, in only 34 minutes in the last game, had 25 points, 19 rebounds, and 6 assists. Wow. That is freakish, man.
Yep. I mean, it's going to come down to, listen, can you contain the bigs on the Denver Nuggets?
Because Millsap had 24 in Game 5 as well.
Right.
So, but Lillard and McCollum need to be their guys. They have to be what they're known to be. The best, one of the better backcourts in the game. Yeah. Lillard, as much as I love him, he's my favorite player in the league. He only shot 9 of 21. He only had 22 points there in that game 5. McCollum shot 5 of 16 with only 12 points. He did not have a good game.
He didn't really have a good series.
He was really, really good in games 2 and 3, 3 and 4. He had 41 points and 29 minutes. In those respective games. So, but game 1 he only had 16. Game 2 he only had 20. Game 3 and 4 he was great. At home, actually. Yeah. On the road he hasn't been very good, looks like. And then, look, if those guys are not going, the series is done.
Yeah, personally, I think it's going to be over. I want Portland more than Denver, but I think it's going to be over tonight. I think that they're playing with too much magic there in Denver.
So you're saying Denver in 6?
Yeah.
Then? So you're changing your Portland in 7?
I want Portland in 7, but realistically, Denver in 6, because the bigs are just dominating the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah. I'm sorry, but it's just how it is, man.
Yeah, Nikola Jokic is some type of freak of nature out there in the playoffs.
They're just
wouldn't that be odd? It's very crazy to see a Denver and Houston conference finals,
or even Denver and Golden State, 2 golds going at it.
Well, I'm just saying it because I want 2 teams that weren't there last year. Obviously, Houston lost to Golden State, and Denver, I don't even think was in the playoffs last year.
No, they weren't. They weren't even close.
I think they were like around the 9 or 10 seed. They were
out of it. Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see there. But for the Raptors, you look ahead to Game 6 there tonight. You don't look past them and say, well, now we got to face Milwaukee. No. You worry about Game 6 tonight in Philly, and if you're a Raptor fan, you want this done now. As much as winning at home is a lot more fun than winning on the road, especially when you win a series.
Yeah.
But you don't want this thing going 7. Because I don't care what anybody says. If Philly wins there tonight in Philly and grabs all the momentum back,
it's a flip of a coin.
Exactly. And Game 7 is a Game 7. Leaf fans, heck, we know it. Game 7s are not fun.
And this is the same situation. Well, not really, because we're playing in Philly in Game 6, but kind of the same situation with Boston.
Yeah, the Leafs had a 3-2 series, and they had 2
chances going back home.
Yeah, but Philly,
that's why I just said it. Yeah. It's flipped, but same sort of scenario. Finish it off tonight, boys. Get ready for Milwaukee. Do not let this go to Game 7.
No, I agree with you 100%. It's going to be a doozy of a game tonight, though. And I think the question is going to be right away, how are the Raptors going to do in the first quarter? Are they going to take that big lead, or are they going to fall back?
Kyle Lowry, what he can do, like you said, in the first quarter is huge.
Oh, big time. We're going to see it there tonight at home for his home Philly fans and Philly, because he's obviously from Philly.
Yeah, so he's Philadelphia native.
So it's going to be interesting to see him there in Game 6 and what he can do for this team in a big game there tonight.
Fingers crossed. So let's switch to the Jays, I think. Yeah, and I mean, really,
they absolutely suck.
It was up And then we went right back down.
The Jays have been absolutely awful. They've lost 8 of 9. They've lost 5 in a row. And the funny thing is, in those 5 losses, they haven't even been close.
No.
They have not even... Let's go back to that.
8-0 against the Twins in the first game.
You lost 8-5 to the Texas Rangers, but I think at one point you were down 8-1 or 8-2. You lost 10-2 to Texas. You lost 8-0 to Minnesota. You lost 3-0 to Minnesota. And you lost 9-1
So a question for you. I know you wouldn't want to do it, and I wouldn't want to do it either, but when do you think you should send down Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
I don't know. I don't see them doing it. I honestly don't see them.
I'm not saying if you see them, but if how bad would he have to be to send him down? Again, I don't want him to be sent down. I want him to succeed, but I'm just saying what would need to be for him to be sent down? Because he hasn't looked good.
He hasn't looked very good. I do agree with you on that. But the only thing I can say is that they've started the clock on this kid. And the reason they waited so long is to have these extra years of eligibility. So if you call him up for 10 games or whatnot, just to send him back down because he's not performing, and you already started the clock on him, I think it's just a waste of time then.
Right, but
I think you let him figure it out here.
Okay, so you're saying that it doesn't matter if he struggles throughout the season and he doesn't get even a single home run
I think
for the next 2. I'm just saying, you do not want to send him down no matter what.
I mean, look, I know Jays fans will probably say, well, send him down, and then we'll hear the whole the craziness about, arbitration now. Why the heck did you bring him up in the first place? Even though these are the people that probably were calling for his name up here in the first place. Let the kid play through it. All right? He's been there. His dad's been there. They know what it takes. He's a good hitter. He's just trying to be he reminds me of Jose Bautista near the end of his career. The reason being he's trying to be too selective, and then he's striking out. I mean, it happens. With Jose, he was walking a ton, which is great, but he was striking out a ton.
Yeah, and with Vladdy, it's not, because I do agree with you in the fact that we know what he can do. Like, let's just say that we send him down to the minors tomorrow. We know that he's going to perform.
Yeah.
It's not a question if he is or isn't. No. It's just the fact that is this stretch of the Jays not doing well, Vladdy not doing well whatsoever, is that going to hurt his development? And I don't believe it is, but it gets to a point where, okay, when are you going to show this Vladdy that's been talked about?
Yep.
So, I mean, right now, obviously, don't send him down, but if he continues to struggle and doesn't look like he's going to get out of that funk, I think that you do not want to ruin him and you want to send him down. Give him for 3 or 4 months up with the Jays. I mean, I'm looking too far into it here, but I'm just saying if it were to happen like that, and if he's still struggling, which I don't think is going to happen, I think he's going to find his form. But if that still continues to happen 3 or 4 months from now, he still continues to struggle, I think you should send him down because I don't want to ruin this prospect.
No, I totally agree with you there. I just don't see it happening, but I do agree. With you on that.
I mean, personally, I knew he was going to struggle in the first couple series there, but I didn't believe he would be struggling like he is now.
No, yeah.
How many series did he play? 4 now? Oakland?
He's played 10 or 11 games, something like that.
Yeah, so around 3 or 4 series.
He did not play in the finale there against Minnesota. So
my question to you is that when would you send him down, or you wouldn't whatsoever? Because you just agreed with me on my point. So
if he's gone 3 or 4 months and has not done anything, and he's not hitting 200, and he's got maybe like 1 home run in 4 months, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's definitely not physical because this guy can crush the baseball. We've seen it. But the problem is, where is it up? Is it in his head, right? And that's the part where you always worry about young players when they get into those struggles and how they're going to get out of those funks. Now, ideally, the pitchers are pitching him very carefully because they know what he can do.
Yeah. But that's being up in the bigs.
Exactly. He has to learn to adjust, and
it takes time to do that. That's why I'm saying I'm not concerned at all because listen, he's a young player. He's gonna get better, but right now,
I heard that a few days ago or whatever it was. I heard that Vladdy does have one of the best exit velocities on the Jays.
Is that power hitting or something?
Like whenever the ball comes off his bat, how fast it comes off the bat. So it tells me that when he is hitting the ball, he's hitting it hard.
Well, yeah, kind of like a powerful swing, I guess, if you will. Like
when he's making contact, he hits it hard. Now the average doesn't suggest that.
But it's the accuracy, I guess, or it's just.
I don't know. I don't really know what it is right now. And ideally, if you want to take any positives out of this, in his last at bat in the Minnesota series,
he hit the ball.
Well, no, he got a base hit. He got a hit there in his last at bat. Then he had yesterday off, and then obviously the Jays are off today, so they give him the couple days, and then they open up the series against the not so great Chicago White Sox there tomorrow.
I mean, sure, it's good to take a positive, but that's like saying about a star prospect on the Leafs, for example, doing a nice breakout pass. Woohoo. But what I mean. But for him, I think this is the start. Like you said, get a couple base hits to start off, get your confidence up a little bit, and that's all he needs. Because right now his confidence is like this. The whole Jays team's confidence is down. Yeah. For Vladdy to get a couple base hits, bring his confidence up, then we'll see the real Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
And he's, 20 years old?
Yeah, he's 20 years old.
He's going to learn. I don't want him to be sent down, but like you said, if he continues to struggle like this, I don't want to ruin this prospect.
It's gonna take a lot for at least for me to want him to be sent down.
But sometimes it's the best thing for him, because would you rather be him being sent down or staying up too long and then him losing confidence whatsoever and being lost as a prospect?
You got to remember what happened to Roy Halladay back when he was a rookie. He had I think he almost threw a no-hitter in his second start or whatnot, and then he had a really bad little stretch of it,
which Vladdy didn't.
They sent him down to A-ball,
right? But
and then he came all the way back up, and he turned into the pitcher we knew and love.
Right.
But I'm not saying Vladdy's going back to A-ball because we know that's not going to happen.
No, but Vladdy didn't even, like you say, even impress us in spring training. He hasn't had that one moment where, maybe the walk-off thing. But against Oakland, really, he hasn't really shown at all. What was the best Vladdy moment? Now, I don't think I'm being very fair to him, but all I'm saying is that does anything really stand out in a good way other than a couple base hits? Not really.
He hasn't been bad defensively, I gotta say.
Okay, yeah, defensively he's been good, but I don't know. I just think that you don't send him down, you keep him developing, but if he really struggles.
It's going to take a lot. I think it's, like you said, 3 or 4 months.
3 or 4 months.
That's about where I say it as well. Now, ideally, 3 or 4 months from now, it's probably going to be August, and the AAA season will be over pretty soon. So I don't know if even at that point it'll happen.
Or just even rehab him. I don't know. Well, I don't know. But I would want him to be sent down rather than ruining him.
No, of course.
Because of confidence issues.
Of course. Now, there's really not much else to talk about when it comes to this team. They've been awful. Like we said, they open up a 3-game set against the White Sox here this weekend. So if you want to talk about teams you can possibly beat, I guess the White Sox are one of them. They're 16-19, not a very good ball club either. But the Blue Jays are 15-22, and just really are not playing good baseball. And people in there for, I want to say, Tank Nation or whatnot. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kansas City Royals and the Baltimore Orioles are the only 2 teams below the Blue Jays right now.
And that's in the whole league?
The American League, and then in the National League, the Miami Marlins completely suck at 10-26. And the Nationals, losing Bryce Harper, clearly that's affected them quite a bit. But the Jays are in the bottom, 7 or 8 teams in the league.
See what I'm talking about? In a week span, because last week it was all flowers and it was in roses for the Blue Jays. They were all good. Exactly. That's why I'm saying if they come close to a wild card spot and trade deadline, do not do it. Goddamn thing.
No, they won't. Oh,
well, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Fans are asking, if the Jays are close to a wild card spot, do you think they should add because maybe they can make the playoffs? No. Let it run its course, and they're going to fall back down to earth. That's just how it is.
Now, do you want to talk about some positives when it comes to the Blue Jays? Well, maybe some of the young guys?
Yeah.
Did we talk? I don't think we talked about it in the last podcast. Ben Revere...
Yeah, I think
is back.
Did we
talk about that in the last podcast?
I think you mentioned it. Yes, but Ben Revere is back on a minor league deal.
So he's played now 2 games there in Buffalo. I think he went 2 for 5 with a couple of runs scored there in his first game.
Bring him up.
And he went 1 for 5 with a run scored there yesterday. He's hitting 300. It's only 2 games, obviously, right? But yeah, I look. Shapiro and Atkins are all about putting butts in seats, right? Clearly, what they have on the field right now ain't putting the damn butts in the seats. Ben Revere brings Jays fans back to 2015, at least a little bit.
Okay, it's not like we're getting a Bryce Harper. I mean, it is Ben Revere. What?
He was a fan favorite when he was
All
here.
right, so that's 20 more fans a night?
It's money. Right? It's money for them, right? Just by calling up some random guy from AAA?
Well, I think it looks better on paper than it is money-wise. I mean, I would rather have 20 more fans than not. But, it's... Yeah, I
want to see some Ben Revere. That's all I got to say.
Not really for the fans, I think, just for the performance, yeah.
A bit of both.
A little bit
Ben
of
Revere
both.
always had a smile on his face. He was always having a good time. He was a great player, speedy guy, good outfielder. Always hit for contact.
And the best part about it, we'll get 20 more fans.
Sure.
In attendance.
And Kevin Biggio had some stupidly good day again yesterday. He was 3 for 4 with a couple RBIs.
Once again?
He's hitting .344. He's having a great season down there. And I talked about this in the last video. Nate Pearson,
yep.
the great young pitching prospect for the Toronto Blue Jays, the 22-year-old pitcher. He pitched a couple days ago in his Double-A debut. Didn't miss a beat. The guy was fantastic. Yeah. I think he went 5 innings, gave up like 2 hits and struck out 8. Didn't get allowed a run. He was spectacular in his Jays debut. And you got to keep your eye on here. Andrew Sopko. Now, the name doesn't jump out at anybody. I didn't even know how we got I knew he was here in a trade, but I forgot which one. The way Russell Martin was traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Jays got Andrew Sopko. Again, he's a little bit of he's 24, 25 years old. He's in Double-A, but he's dominating. He went 5 innings yesterday. He had 3 hits, 1 walk, struck out 5 guys. ERA of 2.34, which is really, really good.
He is 25 in Double-A, though.
I don't. Hold on. Is he 24 in Double-A? I see his age here.
I mean,
I know he's in 94, but I don't know when his birthday is, kind of thing.
94 is 24.
Is it 24? Oh, it depends on his birthday. Because what if he's like a January birthday or whatnot? Couldn't he be 25?
I think so. We'll check that out.
But nonetheless, if he's 24 or 25 years old, putting up those type of numbers, it would not surprise me if he gets called to AAA very soon.
Right. Yeah, and with obviously the Jays team sucking right now, we're looking at the prospects, and we have to have probably top 10 prospect pool in the league. Maybe even top 5.
It was top 3. They did it before the season started.
Well, now, like you say, Vladdy's up, and Ryan Barucki was a part of that prospect pool. No, he wasn't? No. Okay. But it's going to diminish because obviously these prospects are going to graduate from AAA, AA to the Jays, but, actually, that's nice.
Speaking of Ryan Barucki, I want to see how he's doing. I want to see if his health is
I was just going to say that. He hasn't pitched at all this season.
No, he's on the 60-day DL, transferred to 60-day DL 3 weeks ago. There's really nothing new on Ryan Barucki. Man, it sucks because this kid had such a good year last year. He's only 25 years old. Yeah. It sucks, man.
Do you want to talk about the production of Marcus Stroman?
And you know what? I said this in one of my videos, and I think this is exactly what Marcus Stroman is all about. If it's not either a big situation or there's not a big crowd in the stands, he doesn't thrive.
But that's not how
I know. I'm just saying. You go back to when he was good. 2015, when he came after the ACL injury and everything like that, the fans are jam-packed, right? Because it's obviously the Jays are going to the playoffs. Everyone's pumped up. He comes out there and throws up stupid numbers in the regular season, goes to the playoffs. He's the game 2 starter for the Blue Jays, and he was the best pitcher in that series. Then you go to 2016, I think it was. He was pretty good there, right? But the Jays went to the playoffs that year. And this season, because you look at he's been rough over the last little while here. Yeah. He had a rough game against LA and a rough game against Minnesota. But you go back to the game against Oakland where he went 7 shutout innings of 1 hit ball. That was Vladdy's debut.
Right. Okay. Well, do you really want a player on the team that performs like that?
I'm not saying that's just because of his mindset. But I'm just saying
these stats don't lie.
Right.
And we're going on a rebuild. Well, we are on a rebuild. Listen, buddy, if you want to perform with people in the stands or in a game, like in a big game, then this team isn't for you. Because the Jays aren't going to be a contending team for the next 2 or maybe even 3 years.
Yeah, look, Mark, exactly, and that's where I'm like, if he's going to be that type of pitcher or only pitches in big situations, look, the Jays are not a big situation type of team, especially right now.
Plus, the Jays aren't even really a big market. Like, if he wants to go to a team that's on the rebuild but still gets fans, go to the Yankees, go to the Red Sox, go to all these big market teams, the Dodgers. I just can't stand a player that's, I wouldn't say who's patient, but doesn't try. No, seriously. Like, that's what I'm saying. I know in the last podcast we were talking about Atkins, Shapiro,
Sanchez and whatnot.
No, but like we were talking about them potentially trading all three, Smoke, Sanchez, and Stroman. And you did say that you wanted to keep both pitchers.
Now, ideally, since those talks, both pitchers in the team overall has not been very good.
Well, the team hasn't been good overall. Like, just not the pitchers, the whole team.
Well, yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said just the pitchers. Well,
the pitchers and the rest of the team has been horrendous since that comment was made. That's what I'm saying.
I think that you either trade one of them, like I said on the last podcast. Don't trade them both. Trade the one that's maybe, I don't know if performing better than the other, because if you trade a player that's performing better, you're going to get more back, but you're losing a better pitcher. So, I don't know, but with Marcus Stroman, I just don't like his mentality. When he's on, but when he's off, like you said, doesn't really looks like he's trying. So
I mean, look, obviously he's trying. Obviously, Marcus Stroman is a great pitcher, and when he's on, like you said, he's very, very on. But
I mean,
again, look, his ERA is still under 3, so I guess talking trash about him is not really a great idea because he's
it's not. But we as fans have to call people out if they're not performing and if they're not trying, because based off how many fans are in the building,
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that's what he's doing. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it looks like he's only had 2 shutouts this season. The opener of the season against Detroit, obviously jam-packed, is the season opener, and then the Vladdy debut. Yeah. Now, there's been some games in there where he's pitched very good ball games,
but it's more bad than good.
Since other than those couple starts, he hasn't. I mean, I want to go to him here and see what obviously his start of the year was fantastic in that game against Detroit where he was great. He came in 5 2/3 against Baltimore, and he was pretty good there. Even against Cleveland, he only gave 3 runs in 6 innings. It wasn't bad. Then he went 4 innings and having unearned 3 runs against him. Then 8 strong against Oakland in Oakland. So I mean, they're not terrible. Just his last 2 have been really, really awful. Where he's in 4 2/3, he gave up 8 hits and 6 runs in the last game against Minnesota. 3 1/3, 6 hits, 5 runs, 4 were earned. I mean, if you want to try and take a positive out of Marcus Stroman, it's that the 2 home runs he gave up against Minnesota in his last outing were the first ones he's given up all year long.
Well, but all year's been a month.
Yeah, but you see pitchers give up, at least 5 or 6 home runs a month. Stroman didn't give up anything until the last start.
It's a pretty small sample size, though, but I guess that's one positive because you always have to take a positive.
He was one of the only pitchers in the league that hadn't given up a home run.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a positive for sure, but it's going to be interesting trade deadline time if he comes back to form or if he stays like he is now. So is there any other things you want to talk about with the Jays, or do you want to move on to the Leafs?
Let's just go to, I guess, I'm going to go through the injured guys right now and kind of see if there's any updates. So Dalton Pompey, 2 weeks ago, there was no baseball activities. So there you go. There's that update.
No baseball activities.
No, he hasn't done anything. Devin Travis, 2 weeks ago, actually began the hitting progression again. So actually didn't even realize that.
He's going to be minor league, though.
Travis?
You think, or
he doesn't have options, so he's gonna be on the big club. I don't know where he's a second baseman, so I don't know what they're gonna do. But he sounds like that was 2 weeks ago that happened. So I don't know if there's been any progression since then. We obviously know Matt Shoemaker is done for the season, which really sucks.
Very sad.
Clayton Richard actually could return in a couple of weeks. That was 4 days ago, so he could be a week and a bit away. That's one of our starting pitchers. And David Phelps, a guy who we knew was going to be on the DL to start the year. He had an injury last season. He had a really good year last year as a reliever, but a month ago he resumed throwing, so I don't know what the hell the deal is.
So what's the rotation now? Obviously Stroman, Sanchez.
It's Clay Buchholz, Trent Thornton, and then a wild card spot, because right now, I mean, look, the starter initially for, I think it was on Sunday. Oh, no, never mind. Initially, they had Thomas Pannone as that number 5 starter, but he's got sent down yesterday.
So you say, who's it going to be?
Are guys coming off the DL, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, look, I guess the Jays have an off day today, so it doesn't really affect their rotation. No. You put in Buchholz, Stroman, and Sanchez in this upcoming series. Then you have another off day, so I guess that's why it's not going to affect the Blue Jays there.
It must be pretty hard to make those videos now, eh?
Yeah. I mean, I try to talk 4 or 5 minutes about this abomination, and then I try to talk the rest of about the prospects and what they did that night.
But we knew going into the season it would be like this, so we can't sit here and say that we're surprised. We're not.
Yeah, the Jays have lost 5 straight. They're 2-8 in their last 10.
Well, so moving on to more positives, not really. The Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Kyle Dubas said
Babcock's back.
Yeah, Babcock's going to be back next season.
We expected that. You and I did.
You can't expect Sheldon Keefe to be thrown into the fire right away. But I do think that Sheldon Keefe is going to be an assistant coach. I think that his time with the Marlies is done. He can't really prove anything more in the AHL. Yeah. I mean, the Marlies are doing unbelievable right now. Sheldon Keefe.
Right.
The Marlies are doing unbelievable right now. They just swept the Cleveland Monsters. Or no, sorry, the Lake Monsters.
No, the Cleveland Monsters.
Okay.
It's funny. Didn't get it right. The Marlies have not lost a game in the playoffs so far. They swept Rochester in 3 games. It was a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, and now they swept.
And they just swept Cleveland in 4. 4-game sweep. 7-0.
Who are they facing in the second round?
Charlotte Checkers.
Carolina's affiliate.
Yeah, and Carolina's still going to the playoffs.
Scar Darling, that's probably the goalie that we're going to be facing.
Probably. Now, on more Leafs news, we talked about Kyle Dubas saying Mike Babcock is returning as head coach.
Not surprised.
Igor Ozhiganov is heading back to the KHL, as we all know by now. Who cares at this point? The Leafs get Timu. Oh boy, you want to try that? You're not a great.
I want to try that.
Yeah, true. He's not very.
You all know who we're talking about. Finland guy.
Kivi Halmi.
To a 1-year deal. Now, is this the defenseman? Because I know we signed a defenseman and forward.
2. Or no, this guy's a forward. No, this is the defenseman to a 1-year deal. He's 23 years old. He had 30 points in 60 games with Carpet as a 23-year-old.
Now, my question to the Leafs management. It seems like every year we sign these types of players. Last year was Par Lindholm, and Igor Ozhiganov.
Yeah, but there was.
And then the year before that, it was Nikita Zaitsev. It really, none of these work out. That's my question. And then before it was Calle Rosen and Andreas Borgman. Calle Rosen looked like he may be something.
And so they also signed that Ilya Mikheyev, or whatever the heck his name is here, the forward out of Russia, the 24-year-old player.
Now, my question to the Leafs management, why do you keep doing this? It's really not working out. Zaitsev didn't work. I mean, for 1 year he didn't work out. Like, okay, Zaitsev is an NHL defenseman. He's not a great one, but he's an NHL defenseman. If he gets sent back to the KHL, is he considered an all-star KHL defenseman? Probably. No, like that's why the gap is so hard to read with these guys, right? That's why I don't know why they keep going to Europe. I feel like they should sign more kids out of the NCAA and the CHL. And
now, ideally, you think about these contracts, though, they're 1-year entry-level contracts. They're not going to kill you.
And they're depth, but all I'm saying is that I don't think this solves anything. Now, like I said before, there's going to be people from the Marlies that are going to be sent up.
Rasmus Sandin's been great in the playoffs so far.
Rasmus Sandin, Bracco, and then these Europeans can be sent to the Marlies if they want to be. But I don't know. I just think that you're better off with staying in North America because we've been going to Europe for the last couple of years and it hasn't worked out. But that's just me.
Well, I mean, look, 2 entry-level contracts are not going to kill you, right? They're really.
But
not.
I think that you could spend those contracts on other players like Trevor Moore, who succeeded, and we got him from the NCAA.
He also had 6 points in 4 games there in the.
So he's in the playoffs so far.
Yep, he's done 6 points.
Well, he's an NHL player.
We've learned that now with him. Who else? Who's the other guy that Joseph Duszak, the guy they signed from the he's got a goal there in 4 games in the playoffs, and again, but he's a 97, so he's only 21 years old, so still lots of room to grow for him.
Yeah,
right-handed defenseman. Thank you very much.
So just going to the Leafs now, we can talk about the Marlies a bit later. John Tavares looks like he's not playing in the World Cup.
Yeah, he got an oblique injury in practice, and he's going to be reevaluated back in Toronto.
I don't see much of it. I
don't either.
I think he's going to be fine in the next couple of months there. But, it's something to look at. And obviously Austin Matthews not going... Mitch Marner not going to the World Cup. Is Nylander's going, I think.
Yeah, he's playing on the top line of Sweden with Elias Pettersson and Patrick Hornqvist.
2 youngsters to one guy that's not really performing.
A veteran who's been there and done that.
I guess. Yeah, and I mean, is there anything else? Or you want us to... I guess we can stick with the Marlies there.
I mean, look, because they're the team that's playing right now, and obviously, do you want to go around the league for hockey?
Well, let's talk about the Marlies, and then we'll go around the league, because there's a lot to talk about with the league.
Yeah, Jeremy Bracco's had 11 points in 7 games in the playoffs. He obviously had a great regular season, 79 points in 75 games. Obviously, a pass-first kind of guy in Jeremy Bracco, but putting up stupidly good numbers. And look, a guy that I think you and I both agree should be on this team next year when it comes to the Leafs. That's what I was looking up here. Rasmus Sandin, 7 points in 7 games. Yes, it's only 7 assists, but it's 7 points in 7 games in the playoffs. He's looking great. He had 28 points in 44 games there this season.
But too bad he's a left shot.
What does it matter? I mean, look,
I guess it doesn't
matter. You saw
matter.
Ron Hainsey play the right side.
Well, that's a veteran. You're talking about a rookie. You want him to play on the right?
He could be playing on the right side down there. We don't know.
I don't think he's playing on the right side.
Is he playing with Liljegren? I'm not too sure.
I don't think so. But you could see, like you said, Jake Muzzin play on the right side.
Liljegren's like 3 points in 7 games there in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not hearing too many good things about him.
No, neither am I. So I mean, we'll just keep our ears open with that.
Keep our expectations about the next Erik Karlsson
and Igor Korshkov, obviously the guy who got brought over, the first round pick from the second round pick from the Leafs back a couple of years ago now.
Oh, this is the guy who we drafted over Alex DeBrincat. Great.
Yeah, you didn't have to say it like that.
He's 6'4". Isn't he?
Is he?
I'm pretty sure he's a big guy.
Well, I mean, he had 1 goal in 3 games there in the playoffs. A pretty nice goal, actually. But
it was a nice. That's it.
I mean, really, there's not much else to say about Igor Korshkov.
Another Igor.
Is there anybody else down here in the Marlies? Mission Marchman continues to play pretty well down in the AHL, but I still don't think he's a NHL caliber type of
guy. And we're not going to get into the Mitch Marner contract talks. We did that
because there's really nothing to dwell on. There's nothing more from that contract dispute.
When do you think it's going to get done? I'll leave it at that.
It'll be done before July 1st. You want to talk about Reid-Foley passing away at 91 years old?
Great. He played center, and then he switched. No, sorry, he played defense, and then he switched to center midway through his career. Very underrated thing to do. It's extremely hard to do because playing center is the most skillful position in the league, and it's the hardest position to play. And Hall of Famer, played with us in the Red Wings. Won other than the players on Montreal and Edmonton, he's the most player that won the cup with one team.
Right.
Other than everybody on Montreal back in their dynasty and Gretzky and Messi and all of them, Reid-Foley won 6 cups with the Leafs. Awesome. So, 91 years of age.
That's tough.
Yeah. Definitely a Hall of Famer for sure.
Oh, big time. So, do you want to get to the conference finals matchups
all
here?
Right. Let's go on a little bit of I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here. Really? Now, the Boston Bruins taking care of the Columbus Blue Jackets in 6 games, and a bit of a controversial hit. Charlie McAvoy went shoulder on head. It was a headshot on Josh Anderson. Now, at the time of the hit, they called it, a 2-minute, and they took it back. That's unbelievable.
It's blatantly obvious.
But the Bruins keep getting away with this mumbo jumbo, as you would say. I don't know how they keep doing it. I'm just speechless that the Boston Bruins are getting away with murder. No, seriously.
Yeah. Charlie, look, it's a clear on head-to-head contact. There's no other contact.
Shoulder to head. Or elbow to head or whatever. Yeah. It was a headshot.
But I mean, either way, like it's not... It's at least 5 and he's gone for the game.
It's at least a penalty.
I don't know.
Okay, sure, he's suspended for 1 game against Carolina. That doesn't help Columbus one bit.
Columbus is gone. Doesn't matter.
Ugh.
And for Columbus Blue Jacket fans, I mean, yeah, you're probably happy you got past round 1, but...
And even that crap that Marchand pulled on it was Scott Harrington. It wasn't Seth Jones. Even that crap he pulled on Scott Harrington. You punch someone in the back of the head and you run away. Can you do that in any other sport without being fined?
Oh God, no.
Basketball, you'll be fine. Baseball, you'll be fine.
Yeah, but the fines you'll get are like $20,000, and to these guys, that's pocket change.
But Marchand didn't even get a fine.
Nope,
he got nothing.
Like and then Charlie McAvoy for I don't know, not even
sure he got suspended.
Not even a penalty in the game.
It's a deciding game. Who cares if he's not playing in the next round?
Let's go Hurricanes.
Well, obviously.
Come on.
No, I mean, on paper, it's not looking great for the Hurricanes. But listen,
none of these series have looked great on the paper for the Hurricanes.
No, and
they beat Washington, which no one really expected them to do.
And they swept the Islanders, which nobody expected. I hope they take it to the Bruins, man. I mean, hey,
Curtis McElhinney. There you go.
Against Tuukka Rask, and Tuukka Rask has looked unbelievable this last playoff round against Columbus. Now, enough with Boston. If you're the Columbus Blue Jackets, what do? I still think this was a successful year for them.
Really?
I mean, they went all in, but they proved their worth, and they swept Tampa in the first round, and they took Boston to 6. I think, listen, was anyone expecting them to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning? No.
No, I get that. I do, but
I think it's a successful season.
It could be, but then you lose Panarin, you lose Duchesne, you lose Bobrovsky.
Well, we don't know about Duchesne, but Panarin and Bobrovsky
I'm just saying
probably.
Contracts are up.
Yeah, a lot of contracts are up,
Ryan
but they
Dzingel?
have. Ooh, he wasn't nowhere to be found in the playoffs.
I'm just talking about, acquire at the deadline.
Well, if you want to say that, then Adam McQuaid's up too.
Okay, well, no one cares about Adam McQuaid. He was nothing coming over. He was nothing leaving. So there you go. Well,
Ryan Dzingel.
He had a lot coming into it.
And nothing coming out.
Right.
But, I mean, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the one thing they do have is a lot of cap room. And that's good in today's NHL. That's gold. Now, I do think Duchesne's staying. I think that he likes it in Columbus. But I do agree with you. I think Panarin's gone. I think Bobrovsky's gone. But Duchesne's staying. Dzingel, they're probably going to let go. But I'm not sure about this year's free agent class, but they can throw a lot of money at a lot of players. Why not get Erik Karlsson? They got the money for it.
Another right-handed defenseman, go with Seth Jones?
Yeah, maybe. I'm just saying, though, they can throw a lot of money at players in free agency.
But the problem is, those players want to play there. They don't have a goalie now if Bobrovsky leaves.
It shows that they can produce in the playoffs, like I said, with a goalie. But listen, the one thing that Columbus needs now, if Bobrovsky does leave, is a goaltender.
They have Jonas Korpisalo.
They have Korpisalo, who's no slouch, but I don't know about him as a starting goalie. Or they could just run with it. I think Torts is going to be back next year because his contract is up also. But
lots of things for Jarmo Kekalainen to get to kind of get through.
But
here.
I still applaud you. I still applaud the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think it's been a successful year. Of course, you would love to see them win the Cup or make it to the finals, but getting past the first round against the top dog Tampa Bay Lightning and dominating them, that alone, successful year.
Okay, do you want to move on to round 2? The other series?
Yeah.
San Jose and
wasn't there another
and St. Louis?
There's another series in the East? Or no, we already went.
We're in the conference finals now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
San Jose and St. Louis. So San Jose ended up beating the
Colorado Avalanche.
In 7 games. Now this was a weird series because it was like a lot of back and forth again. You had San Jose win game 1, Colorado won game 2, San Jose won game 3, Colorado won game 4, San Jose won game 5, Colorado game 6, and then San Jose game 7.
Yeah, and that goal that they took back, scored by Colin Wilson.
Yeah, controversy. Gotta love playoff controversy.
But I don't know about that one. I mean,
the thing I want to talk about when it comes to that game, though, is Joe Pavelski coming back from that
and scoring
and scoring the first goal of the game.
This wasn't really an upset. I mean, we all expected
the miracle run of the Colorado Avalanche, though.
And again,
has come to an end.
Same thing like Columbus, a successful year. Sure, they lost, but in the second round, and they took the San Jose Sharks, which were Cup favorite teams going into this playoff or even the season with the acquisition of Erik Karlsson, shows that they can hang with the big dogs.
Right, and in the other series, St. Louis and Dallas. St. Louis won that series in 7 games. I would have loved to see Dallas move on because Ben Bishop has been playing great.
They let Ben Bishop hang
in game 7
dry in Game 7. It was horrible. What, they gave up 60 shots?
54. 54 shots.
Terrible. And with Ben Bishop, man, that's a great goalie. I'm just so disgusted of the performance of the Dallas Stars in their defensive core. Listen.
This is why Game 7 on the road is never fun.
And Tyler Bozak assisting on Patrick Maroon's goal.
Patrick Maroon, the St. Louis native.
Yeah.
And seeing his son there in the crowd crying.
What's his name again? Steven or something?
I don't know, something like that. I'm not too sure. But honestly, though, seeing him score that goal, great for Patrick Maroon. And the St. Louis Blues have been there before, but now they play against the San Jose Sharks for the back-to-back years.
I don't think they've ever made it to the finals. Western Conference. I don't think so.
They never made it?
I think
they have before.
Well, in the last 10 years, I don't think they've ever made it because they've always lost in the first or second round versus Chicago.
They beat Chicago one year though.
Probably in the first round.
Yeah.
And then they lost in the second.
San Jose.
Nonetheless, I can't remember the last time that the St. Louis Blues were in the Western Conference.
Isn't
Finals.
this a rematch of round 2 of last year? I know there's a rematch here somewhere between these two teams. I just don't remember where where it all played out. Let me see if I can.
I don't think so.
No, I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure this is
because the Sharks. Who the Sharks faced in round 1 last year? I couldn't even tell you.
Oh no, last year I don't even know. But
well, are we going by last year?
Yeah. Here, let me go. I'm gonna search it up now because it's bugging me.
Okay, but this, I mean, we all know about the controversy when it comes to the referees, but I mean, this playoffs, like we say it every year. If it's playoff hockey, you can get away with murder, and it's true.
Yeah.
This playoffs, it's been all over the place with the calls, especially with the Bruins. And maybe I'm just a salty Leaf fan, probably, but it's all about consistency, and it's nowhere to be found. But am I surprised? No, but I'm just ranting. So let's start with our predictions.
Okay.
Eastern Conference Finals, Boston Bruins versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Whoa.
Travis Dermott to miss at least 6 months due to surgery.
He was playing hurt.
Yep, clearly. There you go. Did St. Louis make the playoffs last year?
I don't even know if they did. Okay, dude. It really does not matter.
I know, it's bugging me. No, they didn't make the playoffs.
Wow.
So never mind. I guess there was not a rematch.
Who did they draft last year? It was probably like in the lottery. I don't even know.
But yeah, so Travis Dermott was clearly playing hurt throughout the playoffs, and
well, him and Zach Hyman are probably not going to be ready for training camp. Hooray!
Shoulder surgery, and on Friday he's going to have that, and he's going to miss a minimum of 6 months.
Same as Zach Hyman.
So do the math, people. June, July, August, September, October,
and let's just
November.
say one more month.
That's November. He'll be back.
Well, the Leafs got to do something special in free agency.
May, so that's
the Leafs got to do something in free agency that's special, or just a trade of some sort. I don't know what they got to do, but listen, you don't have Zach Hyman, you don't have Ron Hainsey, you don't have Jake Gardiner, you don't have Travis Dermott. Something needs to be done, and I don't think Rasmus Sandin can really solve much of it.
I think the first thing for Kyle Dubas is to get Mitch Marner locked up. I think that's the first thing he needs to get done.
Get that god-awful Nikita Zaitsev contract off our books. Like
even though they had good playoffs, right?
I don't care.
Okay.
And even Patrick Marleau at this point.
Well, Marleau, I understand.
And Zaitsev...
We all kind of expected this when the contract was done, that in year 3 that they would kind of look to move him. But
yeah, okay, so let's talk about the playoff predictions, and let's go to the Oilers just for a little bit to talk about the Ken Holland thing. So Carolina versus Boston, who do you have?
Carolina in 6.
You
heard me.
Carolina in 5.
Really?
You heard me.
Wow.
I just want them to spank the Bruins. Well, I mean, they don't have their I wouldn't say star defenseman, but their second best defenseman for Game 1, so that's hard. Now they don't
San
have
Jose and St. Louis. Do you want to keep going? Do you want to keep going on Boston?
Just interrupt.
Oh, okay, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
Oh God, don't be a teenage broad.
That's fine.
Don't do that. Boston, Carolina. What were you gonna say?
I don't even remember anymore. It doesn't matter.
God. Listen
I don't even remember.
The stereotypes you see on Instagram. This is what it is right now.
Go ahead. Keep talking.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the memes are real right here.
Go ahead.
Well, okay, fine. San Jose and
yeah. So, anyways, about Ken Holland.
Sure, go to Ken Holland.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, I see.
I'm joking.
San Jose. Are you gonna go back to Carolina or what?
No, I was just gonna mention about how they don't have their star defenseman in Game 1, and they don't have home ice either. Or sorry, Carolina doesn't have home ice, and Boston's without their star one of their best defensemen in Game 1, so it's gonna be hard. Realistically, though, I'm with you. Man, I don't know.
I say 6. Carolina.
I don't want the Carolina Hurricanes, I don't want the Boston Bruins, but I have to go with Boston, man.
Okay.
Boston in 7.
Okay. And Sharks and Blues. I say Sharks in 7. That's my personal thought there.
Martin Jones he's looked okay, but Martin Jones this whole playoffs has looked not good.
I agree, but
Jordan Binghamton's looked amazing. So I'm gonna say St. Louis in 6.
Okay. I say 7.
So, St. Louis versus Boston in the finals, and you're just going to say
San
Sharks?
Jose, Carolina. Oh, that'd be great.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Now, going to the Edmonton Oilers, signed a brand new general manager, Ken Holland.
Another aging GM.
Another aging GM who loves their grinders and loves signing Justin Applicators to long deals and Luke Glendennings for long deals. Listen, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, I mean, I guess you had to do something. I mean, this isn't okay. I don't think it's a terrible move for the Oilers, but I don't know. It's not great. Like he said, it's an old school dude. He told Ken Hitchcock he's not coming back as a coach.
Yep.
Yeah. So what's your
I don't know. Who's the next coach of the Oilers? We've heard that quite a few times.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to do a lot of tweaking with this team.
Yeah.
They have to get someone to play with McDavid, man.
Oh, of course they do. I mean, it's an absolute joke watching, all these players come through and seeing guys like Milan Lucic get these stupid contracts and score a few goals.
And Kosteinen getting that stupid contract from Chiarelli, who was fired a day after he signed him.
Yeah, a day or two after that. It was awful, man. It was just awful. And who's the next coach? I mean, we've seen Todd McLeod. You've seen coaches that have had playoff success go in there, have a year or two with them, and see what kind of mess they're in, and say, yeah, right, fire me, get me out of there.
Did you see Daryl Cates? Because Daryl Cates is president. He's not really shown on camera often. He looks rough. I'm going to show you a picture quickly, and you tell me. Daryl Cates looks horrible. I'll just, you know what I'm going to say. Ken Holland.
Press conference?
Yeah.
So you're gonna look up
yeah, I guess. I don't know.
You're trying to look at the Daryl Cates.
Where is he? Well, here's a video.
Wow, what's a video?
Whoa.
Just pause it when it starts. I want to see what this guy looks like. Daryl Cates. I mean, if it's as rough as you make it sound.
Oh, dude. I mean, it's bad.
Looks like he's aged a little bit. Boy. He looks. Oh boy.
If there's some way that we can post a picture, or if you guys can see, listen, just Google Daryl Cates 2019.
That's he looks like he just got out of bed.
Looks like he needs a haircut in a. I mean, not
Put
a tan.
some shampoo in that hair. Looks awful.
Rat's nest.
Yeah, it's probably something hiding in there, anyways.
Well, he's probably high in general. I mean, maybe he's on something. Who knows? You gotta be.
I mean, look, if you're an Oilers owner, you have to be pretty.
I would rather look like the late Al Davis from the Raiders than him.
Al Davis looked pretty beat up. So
that guy though.
Wow,
that guy's age is probably like 30 or 35, but he looks like he's 50.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, I can't get that image out of my head. What? Oh my god! Guys, go look at him out. Daryl Cates.
Daryl Cates 2019.
That's rough. Do you want to go to the podcast questions? Are we done talking about hockey now?
I don't even want to go to the questions.
Which after seeing Daryl Cates,
Daryl Cates, I just want to quit.
Okay. Really. Well, that sounds like an Oilers coach to me, right? Or any player except for Connor McDavid. But all right, let's go to the podcast questions here. We're going to start with Evan Stack. What do you guys think about the Rangers posting the tweet of the Odor home run with the caption, "Sure punched that one out"? I thought it was an excellent time to remember that the Rangers blew a 2-0 lead in the ALDS. Couldn't agree more there, Evan. I mean, look, the Rangers are salty, clearly.
Are they a good team this year?
No, they're not.
So then this is why they're tweeting this, just to get more traction for a team that's not good.
Well, the Jays, like you said, came back from a 2-0. Rangers blew a 2-0 lead in the 2015 ALDS, and in the ALCS, the Jays were in the 2016 ALDS, the Blue Jays were the wild card team, and the Texas Rangers were that mighty jumbo humbo.
Jumbo humbo.
I don't know. This is the words that came out there. They were the division winner in that season, and we were the wild card team. Went in there and cleaned their clock in 3 games, and that was it. Done series. So
listen,
a home run from Rougned Odor in May when both teams are crap. Sure, let them have their fun. Trust me, we've already had our fun, and it was quite a fun time there in those 2 years.
Yeah.
All right? But Evan, I do agree with you that they're being kind of stupid, but they're just
win
trying
a
to grab
playoff series against the Jays first.
I mean, you win a World Series, period. All they've done is blown series. I'm going to say one name, and it is going to trigger every Texas Ranger fan known to man. David Freese. I'm going to leave it at that. They were 1 pitch away in that World Series against the St. Louis Cardinals. 1 pitch away. And
what year was this?
Oh gosh, we're going back now. Back when Reid-Foley Feliz and Nelson Cruz was on the team. Back in the day there when they were actually a pretty damn good team.
Yeah.
And he hit I think it was a RBI triple to tie the game, and then he walked it off there in Game 6 to send it to Game 7, and then St. Louis won in Game 7 against the Texas Rangers.
What's going on, you Texas?
Yeah, so I agree, Evan Stack. I mean, it was an excellent time to remember that for sure. Roderick, should Jays fans be concerned about Vladdy's slow start on offense? I wouldn't say concerned, but wary, kind of thinking about it.
I mean, I can't sit here and say that. No, not at all. Of course.
Yeah, when you see his numbers and you see him hitting 150 and he's striking out more games than he's played.
It's a little concerning.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, we're just kind of trying to keep a level head, and it's obviously a rough time right now for Vladdy, and he's going to continue to grow. Reid-Foley If the Growlers make the finals, can you do game recaps? Look, my man,
if the Growlers...
This is like Blue Jays spring training. I can't watch these games.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could probably stream them.
I guess, but I'm already watching the Jays get
sadly.
Whoa, you knocked over the microphone. What happened there?
I'm a little excited on the Growlers.
I guess you're excited them going to the finals, eh?
I am. Now, let's make a bet here. If the Growlers win the East Coast League Championship, whatever it's called, you have to order a Newfoundland Growlers hat. They look pretty spiffy.
All right, you know what? I'll do that. I'll order. You hear me? If they win the championship,
I'm actually holding you. I'm not joking around.
That's fine. I'll have a Growlers hat on. Yeah, you heard me again.
Or just max out your credit card full of Growlers gear.
Okay, maybe that's pushing a little far there. But if they do win the championship, I will buy a Growlers hat. I will post it on Twitter. I might not do a video about it, but I will post a
selfie.
I will post a selfie on Twitter. Well, yeah, you're shaking I'm shaking your hand. Yeah, you heard me. You heard me.
You heard it here, folks. James Price is a Newfoundland Growlers fan.
I'm a Leafs fan. I'm a Marlies fan. And I guess if I'm those two fans, I'm a Growlers fan.
Is Ryan Clough still the coach? Do you remember he was the coach?
Okay, I think we should move on now.
Look it up.
I don't really want to. The coach of the Newfoundland Growlers.
That's the same Ryan Clough off of Tampa Bay, and was he on New Jersey?
Did they like snort crack or something? Or do cocaine or whatever it was?
I don't know, bro.
I thought he did. Let me check about. Hold on. I'm gonna search this up now. Hold on. Ryan.
Just search up Clough. Ryan Clough. Okay, coach. There we go.
Oh my God. Is he actually the
coach?
Yeah,
he was the coach. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, and he steps down as coach January 24th, 2019. There you go.
Oh. Well, maybe he had some sort of addiction, but I don't think he was that heavy of it.
Or maybe it was just a concussion, maybe, that he had. I don't know. I thought it was cocaine or something.
You actually just searched up Ryan Clough cocaine?
NHLers Ryan Clough, and his father's charged in cocaine.
Okay, so it's a family member.
Okay.
You spelled Ryan wrong.
Charges dropped against former, this is basically his father. I thought it was Ryan Clough.
Okay.
Whatever. Can't spell Ryan anyways.
So who's the new coach now?
It doesn't matter. Let's get off the Newfoundland Growlers because I'm not going to put this. I'm not putting this in the timestamps. All right, Newfoundland Growlers talk. I'm really not. All right, let's get to these questions from Blue Jays Wave on Instagram. Mo Buckets on Twitter, great guy, and he sent us some questions here about the Blue Jays. Could Vladdy ever move to first because of the other prospects and his own defense? The Jays don't have like a top-notch third base prospect right now, so if they did, I would not be too opposed to that. Yeah. But as of right now, I mean, you look at the third base prospects down in the minor leagues. The Jays don't really have like a prim and proper third base prospect, but. Could he be moving to first? Maybe. I mean, he's a big fella. He's a bit. He sent me a zoomed up picture of Al Davis, or not Al Davis. Daryl Cates. That's pretty rough. But I mean, look, I just don't see him going to first base because he's not a bad defender. Plus, you know, the way he looks out there. I don't know. I think eventually, if the Blue Jays do. Get a great third base prospect at some point in time, then maybe. But
right now you can't see it.
As of right now, no. So that was Lucas on Instagram. David says, should we trade Stroman? I think if the play continues of him like this, I think you do.
I think you do it. I mean, I don't know about right now, but I feel like out of the three players that Shaparanakin said that trading, he would be the one to go.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
So Raymond, he says, did the Jays make a mistake bringing up Vladdy Jr. this early in the season? No, I think it was the right move. Like, he was dominating AAA all.
He was going to struggle no matter how much longer he spent. Like, even if he was brought up 2 months later in the season, he would still, I think, struggle.
Right. And Mo3 Azar, I'm not trying to pronounce that there, buddy. Sorry about that. Do you think Aaron Sanchez's comment on the team affected them negatively? I mean,
what was the comment?
He was just basically saying how the team played like crap, and he wished he had some help behind him and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I don't think he should have said it to the media. I think it's something you keep behind closed doors. But
he's obviously frustrated.
Look, I don't think him saying what he said makes the team play worse. I don't think that's the goal, is when you hear a teammate say something negative about the way the team's playing, and they were playing like crap. So it's not like he was saying things and the Jays were on a winning streak, and if they were winning,
that just wouldn't make sense.
If they were winning a lot of games and for his start they didn't perform and he called them out, then yeah, there's a lot of hatred going to go towards Aaron Sanchez. But if the team is playing terribly overall,
I still don't think you should say it to the media. Like you said, say it behind closed doors.
He didn't say. I don't agree with it, but I don't think. his comment affected the team's play. I don't believe so.
He has every right to say it, just not to the media.
Right. Nick says Eric Sogard's impact on the team so far and his future, Guerrero's first impressions. First impressions of Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is that he's taking too many pitches, I think. He's not being aggressive. And he's not a bad defender. He's not as bad as people made him out to be, but I think there's still a lot of growing pains when it comes to Vladdy. And Eric Sogard, his future, I don't know what his future lies. Look, again, you guys got to remember that Eric Sogard is not going to be a 350 hitter this season. That's just not who he is. Like we all expected Freddie Galvis to continue to hit over 300, and that's fallen back down to earth now because that's just who he is as a career hitter. Yeah. Eric Sogard, he's had an amazing start to the year. He doesn't strike out a lot. He eats pitches, and he's been hitting. Look, Jays fans, he already has more home runs than he's had in his entire career in a season. You can't expect him to continue this pace the entire year. I love the impact he's made, but I don't see it going much farther, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I guess that does it for episode 18 of the Teal Sports Talk podcast. Thank you guys so.
I just saw this thing on.
You interrupted my outro.
Yeah, I did. I saw the picture on Instagram. I think you posted it as well. I think it was. It was a blurry picture of Embiid and Simmons. Then you wipe your glasses, and it's Nerlens Noel and Michael Carter Williams.
Looks about right. I mean, maybe not Michael Carter Williams in his rookie campaign.
No, he was actually better probably than.
Well, that
Simmons.
was his best, career.
Yeah.
Well, that was his best season. But anyways, thank you guys for listening to episode 18 of the Teal Sports Talk podcast. We'll be back next week.
Yep.
Same time, same place. Let's go Raptors.
Yeah, let's end this.
Let's go Jays.
Let's go Raptors. Let's get healthy Leafs. I don't know what else to say.
Let's get healthy and let's get Vladdy.
Let's go Raptors. We're just gonna stick.
Let's
to
go
that.
Raptors. Exactly.
Game 6 tonight against Philly. Big one. Obviously, you can move on to round 3 for the second time in franchise history. You can move on to the conference finals. Yep. And I think the farther this Raptor team goes, and a game like Game 5, it wouldn't surprise me if it's kind of, I wouldn't say persuading Kawhi, but it's kind of like giving him that little bit of a thing. Well, maybe I don't need to go off every single game for this team.
Because I got Pascal, because I got
Lowry, Danny Green, guys like that. So
now, let's start a GoFundMe page for James to get a new Raptors jersey for his background.
I do agree that Lowry jersey is...
Well, at least turn it around so it says Lowry.
I guess. Anyways, but all I'm trying to say is that I've said it once and I'll say it again. I'll say 2 things actually. I'm getting a Growlers hat if they make the final. If they win the championship, you heard me again. I'm going to say it again because I'm not backing down from this. And if the Raptors do re-sign Kawhi Leonard, I am getting his jersey. Period.
Oh, pretty original.
And that's DeRozan. I'm so tired of buying jerseys of people leaving. I buy a Brett Laurie jersey when he's coming up and being a great future star.
Brett Laurie, DeRozan, Kessel, Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah. Now, the JVR jersey did last a while. Okay. I got to give it that. And Scott Rowland.
OBJ.
Really?
I
had to bring that up.
You bought it, and he got traded a season later.
All right, so we're going to wrap this podcast up, guys. Evan and I will talk to you guys sometime next week. And as for the Blue Jays, I'll be talking to you guys on tomorrow night. It'll be in the hotel, though. My girlfriend and I are heading to the hotel there tomorrow. So
it is tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, her birthday is tomorrow. So I'll be doing the videos on Friday and Saturday in the hotel. So that's going to be happening there tomorrow. When we go into the Jays game tomorrow, Dylan Covey against Clay Buckles. I don't know.
Dylan Covey.
Covey.
Oh, Cubby.
Yeah, not the Cubby hole. What are you talking about? Those are the pitching matchups there tomorrow in Game 1 of that series, and the Jays look to end their 5-game losing streak. And as for the Toronto Raptors, they look to end the Philadelphia 76ers season, and they look to punch their ticket into the conference finals tonight. Game 6 in Philly. Raps 76ers, 8 p.m. tip-off there at Wells Fargo Center. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and Evan and I will talk to you guys next week.
Peace.